Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you the updated battle group overview for the 91st Luftlande. Now this division hasn't really changed much in terms of what you can bring in. There has been quite a lot removed, especially in the latest update since the division originally came out. But in general, things are pretty much the same on my end. I've changed around a few of the units since my original battle group overview video, and we'll go over them in this video. So let's have a look at the Recon. So you can see here that the BMW R75 has found a place in my division. I don't actually think that this is recommended for most players because the way in which you use them is quite advanced, but you can have a good amount of fun with them. Use them as fire support, for example, just the machine gun there. But the great thing for them is really just finding roads that aren't well defended and just shooting one of these down it at 100 kilometers per hour and see how much ground you can make. That really is the fun of these, and then you can keep them in a really annoying spot and make them really hard to kill just by like sort of driving them round a tree line or something. So yeah, really having a lot of fun with the BMWs at the moment. Moving on to the other infantry, I've actually removed a unit of spear troops since my original division was made, and I've actually replaced them with the Fusiliers in Phase B. And this is mainly to provide me with not only more availability for infantry, but also just because I really like the staying power of the Fusilier squads. They are fantastic recon units with the ability to take on both infantry and vehicles, because they do have access to the HHL3 anti-tank grenade, although it's kind of an anti-tank mine. You kind of just place it on the tank. But yeah, Speertroop, Panzerabwehr, still very much useful units, especially these Panzerabwehr, probably one of the best recon AT crews in the entire game. So make sure you make good use of these if you are playing the 91st Luftlande. If I back us back out, my infantry tab basically hasn't changed. What you do with the 91st Luftlande is you rely on your Ersatztruppen to hold the front line, and then what you do with the VulcanHDGaming is use them to engage enemy infantry. So the Ersatztruppen are just there to sort of sponge enemy shots and just help in general with pinning down enemy infantry, or just providing like bait so that your VulcanHDGaming can actually do the damage. And that's how you've got to use them. You've got to make sure that you use the ersatz properly, and then your heavier infantry can stay alive because of it. Now moving into Phase B, I do have the Pioneer Führer and the Pioneers still. These Pioneers are just great for controlling dense forest and just close range encounter areas where you're going to be able to use the 100-meter HE grenade on enemy infantry. Now if we look at the tank tab, this has changed quite a bit, mainly because of the overall lack of command units in the 91st Luftlande division. You can see I have the VulcanHDGaming and the Pioneer Führer in the infantry tab, and it's not very common you see two command units in the infantry tab because infantry is so important. But because this division doesn't really have any support units that can be command, you're relying basically on your infantry and your tanks. So my tank tab has changed quite a bit. I don't bring in any of the initial Panzers, the Panzer 35s or the Panzer 39s anymore. I just rely solely on a Panzer 3. And this Panzer 3 can provide quite good suppression on enemy infantry with its machine gun, so there is that. Also has the 1HE on the main gun to help out a little bit, but don't rely on this to hit anything from a distance. It has terrible accuracy with the 4 accuracy and no veterancy, so that's not helping out either. And moving into Phase B, more Panzer 3s are made available, so bringing those in just to give me more availability and more flexibility with the division. And then I have one Stug just in case I need it 2-star Stug, 165 points. They're pretty expensive, but will help out, especially against things like Shermans. If you're getting overwhelmed in the later phases by light to medium armor, bringing in a Stug will definitely help you out. That's my tank tab. Other choices might include the Befehlsstug instead of the Stug 3 in Phase C, just because not only is it cheaper, but you also get another command unit. But I think just having the extra armor there is very useful for certain engagements. And the difference between 8 and 10 armor is quite dramatic when it comes to looking at allied units, especially things like Shermans and the M1 guns. They have 11 AP, and against 8 armor they will go straight through it, but against 10 armor maybe not so easily. So let's have a look at the support tab. So this has changed quite a bit. I used to just have the cue ball munitions with the Stuf 42 in this tab, nothing else. But now I have the cue ball munitions with 2 IG-18s, 2 cards of IG-18s, and then the Stuf 42. And the IG-18s made a way into my divisions when they buffed the range of them from 800 to 1000 meters, and now they are easily one of the best support guns in the game. They probably are pretty much the only support directly specific support guns in the game, and they're just so damn good. I don't know why you would never have them in your divisions, and for 45 points it's an absolute steal. So yeah, make sure you use these IG-18s. You've got to be a little bit more careful with the 91st Luftlande because you don't get actually as many of them, but they're still very good and worth having. A Stuf 42 in Phase A might also be an idea as well. Sort of acts like a Churchill. The IG-18s, I think they're just cost efficiency. It's just fantastic. Right, moving into the anti-tank tab. Now things have switched around quite a bit with the anti-tank tab. I still have a couple of Panzerschreck squads. I don't tend to bring these out all too often because you do have, of course, the Panzerabwehr from the Recon tab. But if you happen to need a road or something covered, a Panzerschreck squad, which is 15 points cheaper than a Panzerabwehr, is a good way to cover it. They also have the very good stealth, so they ambush very well and they don't affect the front line. So really nice 2-star Panzerschreck squad there, going to do the job for you. As for the other Phase A units, we have Pack 36s. So these Pack 36s, they have 5 AP. That's at 1000 meter range. At 300 meter range, they have 20 AP. So you can play around with these guns quite a bit. You can have them in positions where they directly ambush a road just by having them sitting behind a tree line or something. Or you can have them engage like light vehicles at range with the 5 AP power. Not very reliable AT guns, but they do the job and definitely cause a deterrent. They're also very cheap, so you don't have to worry about price too much. As for the Pack 40, I think this is necessary in Phase A just for a bit of power to add to your arsenal. 13 AP, just really good for penetrating the early tanks like Shermans and so on in Phase A. You just got to make sure that you keep it concealed whenever you can, because you don't want this Pack 40 being taken out too quickly. It's a large investment for Phase A, but if you can make it pay off, then it's 100% worth having. Now moving into Phase B, I used to have Marder 2s on my division, but since the veterancy has never been increased with the Marder 2, I fell back to using the Pack 38s, which only have 10 AP power, but are 1-star veterans, so the accuracy of these Pack 38s is greatly increased because of it, and just the ability for them to fire faster and so on. So that really helps out. Right, moving into Phase C, Pak 40s, definitely necessary. They are the best AT guns you can get in this division, and in Phase C just having more availability of the Pak 40s is a sure thing. Marder 2s are also available, but Pak 40s are able to be concealed a lot easier, and I feel like they die a lot less quick than the Marder 2s. Marder 2s can get destroyed by anything these days. Like an AVRE can just come along with a 27 HE round and just blow that up. And that's not very fun because the Marder 2 can't really do anything about it. Same goes for like any sort of HE round. Because it's only got 3 front armor and 2 side armor and 1 rear armor, HE rounds can go straight through this thing. And yeah, it's just not very nice to play around. So Pak 40s, they do the job. Now my anti-air tab, this has changed a little bit. I'm not entirely convinced this is the right way to do the anti-air tab in the 91st Luftlande because it leaves you pretty light on anti-air in general. But I've just got a card of 2 Flak 36s in Phase B, and then I've got the 2-star Flak 36s in Phase C. So yeah, this Flak 36, 37mm, these are good because they have the 1000 meter range and they can help stun things over time, which is really good for if you are relying on your air force, and having these to sort of assist with your air force allows you to win those dogfights. But moving into Phase C, having guns that can just like one-shot things out of the sky is very nice. So these Flak 36s do a relatively good job of one-shot falling back enemy units. The other great thing about these is they can be used as makeshift AT guns. Because of their veterancy, they're unlikely to miss. So if you find you're up against anything with a little bit more armor than normal, the Flak 88s will do the job for you. Now my artillery tab hasn't changed since the game came out. Quite interesting actually to see, but none of the changes have ever made me think about changing this part of the division, just because everything I use fits in nicely already. So you have the 50mm mortars there, mainly for the smoke more than anything. Don't tend to use them for their HE value. You've got the BEOSHFIM in Phase A if you really need to do the damage at a certain point in the map. It's also pretty fun to bring this in right from the start and just delete the initial forces that your opponent brings. It depends how concentrated the map is and where you're sort of fighting on a map. But yeah, that's definitely an opportunity you can take. Moving into Phase B, you got the SFH 396, which has a 23 HE value at 2,600 meter range, and these are your longer range artillery to help counter 25 pounders specifically and enemy self-propelled artillery. They can help pin them down from a long range and really help you out. So yeah, these guys are pretty necessary, I think, in this division. And then moving into Phase C, I gain access to the BEO Kubel with the 380mm off map, which has a lovely 27 HE, and these things just demolish enemy units. So if you're having trouble moving into the late game, whack some of these out or a couple of these out, and you got 6 strikes of 27 HE power off map to do the job for you. Fantastic. And here we are moving into the air tab. Now, there's quite a big difference really here. ME109 G6R6s never used to be a part of the division. Used to be the ME109 G0s in the 91st Luftlande, but they since changed it over for historical accuracy. Here you can see I'm relying on a couple of ME109 G2 BR21s in Phase A for their rockets. Bringing in one of these for a cheeky strike can really catch people out sometimes, but generally I don't find myself buying these in until the later phases. But it's worth having them on your division from Phase A because you can't get them as cards in any other phases, so I think it's a good choice to just have them in Phase A, and if you find you have the spare points, bringing them in Phase A can really do a lot of damage. As for my fighters, In Phase B, I gain access to 4 Me-109G6R6s, and I think this is all that's really necessary in the 91st Luftlande to control the skies. If you pair that with your Flak 36 37mm AT gun or AA guns, then you can really control the skies quite convincingly with the 91st Luftlande. Now the great thing about the 91st Luftlande is I do have the HS-129B3, which is the HS-129 with the 16 AP power main gun. Now this thing is an absolute beast for sniping pretty much any tank that the Allies have access to. Further to that, if you bring it in on the flanks of your opposing armour, then you can just basically slice through that armour very easily. So bringing in a couple of those in Phase B, almost completely necessary. And in Phase C, going to be relying on a couple of Ju-88s to bring in the 25 HE power bombs. These are fantastic for countering enemy self-propelled artillery. So if you're getting spammed by Sextons in the late game, Ju-88s, if they get their bombs on target, will take out Sextons, priests, those kinds of things very easily. So keep that in mind. Furthermore, you do of course have the HS-129s that you can use for that purpose as well. Just make sure you use your Recon effectively, get them into position, and then you'll have a turkey shoot with your planes. And that's about it. So basically, if we sum this up, I now use IG-18s. That's pretty much the major change. I removed a couple of air cards from this division to allow me to bring in the IG-18s, and then in the other tabs things are just being switched around a bit. And the only change that I would say for you guys to make is remove the BMWs and maybe add some more anti-air. That would probably be a pretty nice change. The other change that you could make is adding a Stuhr 42 in Phase A instead of some IG-18s. But that's up to you guys. Completely personal preference. But overall, that's it. In Phase A, what you want to do, spread out your Ersatztruppen with your Fallschirmjägers close behind. Distract the enemy with the Ersatztruppen and hit them hard with the Fallschirmjägers. Keep Fallschirmjäger nearby for the command. If you're running out of command moving into Phase B, then you can start bringing in the Befehl-Panzer 3s. And you want to be keeping Fallschirmjäger near the IG-18, so maybe having a Panzer 3 with your infantry might be more ideal. Get your Panzerschrecks into sort of ambushing positions. But yeah, moving into Phase B, then you start to bring out the Fusiliers. You've got plenty of infantry availability still. You get a little bit more power in your AT. And you get your Air Force online. So Phase B is more about the Air Force than anything else, because being able to use these HS-129s throughout the game is pretty important. And then into Phase C, your opponent shouldn't really stand a chance once you start bringing out the Flak 36 88mm, and the Ju-88s and the BEO Kubels start to help you clean things up or make a break if you are struggling. And that's it. That's the battle group overview for the 91st Luftlande. Hopefully you guys have found this helpful. I'd like to hear what you guys think, so let me know what you think of my division in the comments and any changes that you guys will personally make. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.